We've all been there. You're 10 years old and your friend on Skype just sent you a link to download the greatest and latest Minecraft mod. You click the link and download the mod without really thinking about it. And that's when it happens.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
Microsoft Defender tells you it detected 30 Trojans, Windows narrator is turned on and speaking to you in German, a purple gorilla is singing to you, and your PC eventually blue screens from the absolute torment it just suffered. Today, we're going to be covering the bizarre computer virus Iceberg. We'll be taking a look at worldwide email worms that destroyed companies, video games that corrupt your files, and so much more. Really quick, if you haven't already, make sure to join our Discord server, where we share updates and teasers on new videos and have some great discussions with you guys. Also, shout out to these viewers for becoming members on the channel. If you guys want to be shouted out in future videos and get access to members-only content, it's currently just 99 cents. But let's not waste any more time. This is the bizarre computer virus Iceberg, explained. BonziBuddy. BonziBuddy was a freeware virtual desktop assistant created by Joe and Jay Bonzi in 1999. Originally, the BonziBuddy software used Petey as its virtual assistant, a green bird that's one of Microsoft's default desktop assistants. Eventually, Joe and Jay introduced the purple gorilla around the mid-2000s. The BonziBuddy hosted a bunch of features. He would tell you jokes, fun facts, sing songs, and manage incoming downloads, using what was at the time top-of-the-line Microsoft Text-to-Speech API. The freeware was pretty fun, primarily targeted towards kids and audiences who were new to computers. But underneath the purple gorilla's smile was something much more sinister. You see, BonziBuddy was tracking every user's data, down to their search patterns and even mouse movements, as well as redirecting your browser's homepage to the Bonzi.com website, installing useless toolbars, and showing tons of ad pop-ups. Of course, the ruse couldn't last forever, so once multiple newsletters caught attention of BonziBuddy's data mining, a lawsuit would officially begin. I won't go over the entire lawsuit, so if you want to get a similar experience, I don't know, just go watch the trial of Tim Heidecker. It's basically the same thing.
This is my right. Then he is under my control. No, if he disobeyed me, it's my right. I'll you up, Mark. Believe me. I'll you up. Hold on. Oh, I'm out. I need 5. Hold me in. I need 5.
Anyway, the Bonzi company would settle, paying a $75,000 fine to the FTC for violating laws in relation to collecting data on children under 13. As of today, BonziBuddy is gone, as it was discontinued in 2004, but you can still find remnants of him online in virus retrospectives, kind of like this one, a giant catalog of memes and fan art, and of course community recreations like BonziBuddy Rewritten, which completely removes all the malware and lets you use a faithfully recreated purple Gorilla Pal on your Windows XP system. MEMZ. MEMZ is a Trojan horse virus originally written by Loyrock. As the name somewhat implies, the virus was made mostly as a joke to simulate old computer viruses. It's flashy, messes with your system, and pretty funny all at once. There's a handful of references to various memes and things from online culture inside of the Trojan, such as the BonziBuddy gorilla appearing on your screen and the master boot record being overwritten with an animation of Nyan Cat. One of the most memorable aspects of the virus is the Windows Notepad text file it opens, which reads, "Your computer has been fucked by the MEMZ Trojan. Your computer won't boot up again, so use it as long as you can. Trying to kill memes will cause your system to be destroyed instantly, so don't try it." The virus would also move your cursor around and open Google tabs with searches mocking the user, such as how to remove a virus and how to get money, as well as opening endless instances of Windows programs like the calculator and command prompt. MEMZ was originally written specifically for Dan O. Oct 1's malware series, but Loyrock eventually decided to publish the source code online. Once the source code was published, many students took it upon themselves to run the Trojan on school computers, and some scam-baiting content creators even used it to punish scammers. A variant of the Trojan was written by Loyrock after the original memes exploded in popularity online, and Vinesauce Joel streamed himself running it on Twitch. The variant is pretty similar to the original, but it's called Vine Memes and has some references to Vinesauce content like the bootleg games 7 Grand Dad and BonziBuddy, among other references. Goggle.com. One of the sneakier methods that malware developers use is something called typo squatting, where they buy domain names that look almost like legitimate websites, maybe 1 or 2 characters different from the original, in hopes that unsuspecting internet users will make a typo and end up on their dangerous site. That's exactly what the creators of Goggle.com did. For years, the Goggle domain was used to redirect users to scammy websites, pop-up ads, and in some cases, malware downloads. If someone clicked or typed the URL without paying close attention, they could have unknowingly installed spyware, adware, or worse. The Goggle domain is still registered and active, but Google acquired it in 2022 to protect their brand and prevent typo squatting. Bonzify. Bonzify is an abridged version of BonziBuddy made by Loyrock, the same person who created memes. Bonzify was specifically created for the streamer Vinesauce Joel. He's basically a meme version of Bonsai that skips all the prerequisites and gets right into infecting your computer. Upon booting Bonzify, he says, "Hello, I'm Bonzi. I'm here to destroy your computer again. But this time, it's an actual destruction. The first thing I'll do is to inject my beauty into all programs that start from now. Doesn't it look great? I would not recommend to restart your system from now because it might be a bit unstable." Basically, Bonzi has one mission, and that's simply to destroy your computer in the most convoluted way possible. He installs a bunch of spoof antivirus software and demolishes your computer with pop-ups saying Bonzi was here, and you have no other option but to click Bonzi was here. After a while, your computer will completely break and blue screen. And that's really it. If you haven't seen the original Vinesauce Joel Bonzify livestream, it's hilarious, and you should go check it out after this video. Pikachu. The Pikachu virus was a computer worm that was the first piece of malware to be directed towards children. The virus first appeared in the year 2000 when it spread online through an email titled Pikachu Pokemon. When the email was opened, an exe file called Pikachupokemon.exe was sent to the recipient, which installed a worm on the user's system that would delete 2 critical directories that Windows needs to operate. The exe also showed an animated picture of Pikachu bouncing across the screen, as well as the message, "Between millions of people around the world, I found you. Don't forget to remember this day every time, my friend." The virus really wasn't that effective, as users were given a yes or no prompt when asked if they wanted to delete the folders in question. The virus was pretty poorly written, but it's still cool to look back on as a piece of internet lore and a pretty bizarre virus. ILOVEYOU. ILOVEYOU, also known as Lovebug, was a devastating computer virus created by 24-year-old computer science major Onel de Guzman. The virus was first released to the web on May 4th, 2000. Disguised as an innocuous email with the subject reading, "I love you," in all caps with no spaces, the email contained an attachment, loveletterforyou.txt.vbs. Since most people had file extensions hidden, they of course thought this was a text document from some secret admirer, but upon opening it, the file would execute a script that took control of your computer, overwriting all of your personal files and sending them to every person in your Microsoft Outlook contacts. Within about a day of the virus being online, it had infected over 45 million computers worldwide, causing financial damage to important computer systems that, once they were repaired, totaled about $10 billion in expenses for computer repairs and file restoration services. This infection was insane for the time, with about 10% of all internet-connected PCs being affected. The worldwide spread of this virus resulted in numerous federal agencies shutting down their email systems, resetting their servers entirely, and experiencing outages that lasted weeks. ILOVEYOU was not only able to infect PCs through that email, but it also did so by replicating itself, modifying your Windows registry keys to keep the file across reboots and resets, as well as forcing your PC to download additional malware which took your passwords. As for the legal side of this debacle, the Philippines had no anti-malware laws at the time, so Onel de Guzman was never actually prosecuted. The e-commerce law was later enacted in July 2000 to prevent future situations like this one. In the years following ILOVEYOU's release to the public, de Guzman has stated he never meant for the malware to cause such global destruction, he simply wanted to steal passwords. You are an idiot. You are an idiot is the nickname that was given to one of the more notorious viruses on this iceberg. You are an idiot spread online around the early 2000s. It wasn't initially a full-blown virus, but more of a malicious JavaScript prank. It simulated a system crash and flooded your screen with pop-ups. When you visited youareanidiot.org, a cartoon face appeared and bounced around the screen while loud laughter played on a loop. The site then spawned dozens, if not hundreds of pop-ups with the phrase, "You are an idiot." Every time you tried to close a window, more would appear, making it pretty much impossible to exit. If you kept clicking or didn't kill the browser fast enough, it overloaded your computer's memory, which on older machines would cause the system to completely freeze. It was mainly developed to simply make unsuspecting users panic as their screen filled with pop-ups and one of the most anxiety-inducing songs I've ever heard assaulted their ears. The original song from the virus was kind of a piece of lost media for a while, but it was eventually found to have been from the Put It Where the Moon Don't Shine album by Rick Dees. Hurr Durr. HurrDurr.com was registered on September 17, 2009. The website featured a flash animation of a dog shaking its head alongside captions saying Hurr Durr in Comic Sans. A few seconds after visiting the site, a window would appear showing the same GIF, but upon the user attempting to close the window, a prompt would pop up with the words Hurr Durr. The website has since closed, but YouTuber Enderman has made a revival of the site. Minecraft skins. Around 2018, some Minecraft players were infected with a malware that was designed to reformat hard drives, as well as delete backup data and system programs. The virus, which was in the form of a PowerShell script, was spread throughout the internet in the PNG file format, disguised as common Minecraft skins. Users were also shown a handful of text strings, including, "You are nailed. Buy a new computer. This is a piece of shit. You have maxed your internet usage for a lifetime." And my personal favorite, "Your ass got glued." Some sources say that as many as 50,000 players were infected with the virus. The code behind the script is pretty unimpressive and can be found on websites that literally provide step-by-step instructions on how to create computer viruses with Notepad. Navashield. Navashield was a rogue antivirus that tricked unsuspecting users into downloading it, when, in reality, it's essentially just malware and super annoying to have on your computer. It abuses Microsoft's text-to-speech voice to say random things or even swear at the user. If you use the internet with it installed, it sets your homepage to adult video websites, it opens random Windows Explorer tabs, and arguably the most annoying feature, it completely blocks the user from using the task manager and command prompt. Navashield first started in 2007 and gained some traction online in 2010 when it was discovered as being advertised with the slogan, "Award-winning computer protection." Its servers were permanently shut down in 2013. Last Measure. Last Measure was a shock site and troll program originally created in 2003. There's a lot of different variants of Last Measure because the source code for several different versions was made available to download online, but the original history of the site is as follows. An early version of Last Measure was developed with an AOL Instant Messenger utility called AIM Invader, which caused crashes in the AIM client. The most powerful crash was the Last Measure crash, which overloaded the system's RAM by sending hundreds of file transfer requests, buddy list sends, and messages loaded with smiley faces and colors. Last Measure displayed a bunch of classic shock images that I definitely don't recommend searching, but if you've been on the internet long enough, I'm sure you guys have seen. I'm talking about stuff like Goatsy, Pillow Fight, Tub Girl, Lemon Party, you know the deal. After these images appeared, the windows would move around the screen, making it basically impossible to close them, while a looping audio clip of a guy screaming about watching adult content played over and over. A bunch of other branching programs were later developed, ranging from simple variants of the original all the way to entire operating systems based on the virus. Rensenware. Rensenware is a ransomware that was created as a joke in 2017. The virus is unlike any other virus, as it doesn't destroy your computer instantly upon installing or request you to pay to get access to your computer back. It simply locks down all your files, encrypts them, and then tells you that the only way you can get your files back is by getting a score of 200 million points in the hardest difficulty of Touhou Seirensen, Undefined Fantastic Object, a shoot-'em-up game from 2009. The funniest part of the virus is that Rensenware doesn't even include the game you need to remove the virus. You need to buy it, download it, and then get a score of 200 million on the absolute hardest difficulty before you can even begin getting access to your files again. And if you thought closing the window Rensenware displays might fix it, you'd be wrong. None of the decryption keys for your files are stored locally, so once you close Rensenware, everything that is locked down is lost forever. Funnily enough, Rensenware was eventually patched when the creator accidentally initiated the program while he was programming it, and since he wasn't able to get a score of 200 million, he had to release a patch for the game that let you override the score to meet the requirements and get your files back. In the patch tool that he released, he included an apology reading, "First of all, I'd like to apologize everyone for making shocked or annoyed. Ransomware is definitely kind of highly fatal malware, but I made it. I made it for a joke and just laughing with people who like Touhou Project series. So I distributed source code except compiled binary on the web. However, at the point of the distribution, the tragedy was beginning. Maybe it's okay if I remove the encryption logic before I distribute the source code. Then Rensenware can be treated kind of joke program. But I didn't. A number of people blamed me. It's natural, because I made accident definitely wrong. So I pulled down the source code of the Rensenware from the GitHub and made this tool. I hope this tool can help the ones who are already affected by Rensenware. Once again, I apologize to everyone. I'm really sorry." McDonalds.exe. McDonalds.exe is a screamer application that circulated the web in the early 2000s. There's not much known about the software, but we do know this. The program was apparently made by a man named Xu Haiyi and developed by the Yayu software company. Upon launching McDonalds.exe, your screen will turn black and display text in Chinese reading, "I'm a gastronome and I love to eat all kinds of delicacies. I can eat things that others wouldn't dare to eat without hesitation. One day, someone said to me, 'There's something you've definitely never tried, and you wouldn't dare to try it.' I answered back with recalcitration. 'What is it that I wouldn't dare try? Tell me.' 'Human flesh. Have you tried it?' I was speechless because indeed, I had not tried it, nor did I know where to find it. In the evening, I was playing on my computer, and my wife was by my side. I noticed her skin was so smooth and tender. I asked her if she wanted to use the computer. She softly said yes. As my wife got immersed in the computer, I suddenly picked up the mouse cord. I watched her struggle without showing any mercy. After about 20 minutes, my wife stopped moving, and I began. Although my wish was fulfilled, every time I go to sleep, I dream of her. I always see my wife's ghost not far from the bed, with a pale face, a bruised neck, and closed lips, walking towards me. I know I should cremate myself, just like a diseased corpse, and scatter my ashes along the street for all to trample on. Only then could I atone for a tiny bit of my crime." After a few seconds or so, the black screen is removed, and you're back on your desktop. Soon you're met by a dialog box containing contact information for the developer of the program. Around 60 seconds later, you're met with a really loud screaming jump scare. The screamer will continue to happen in 2-minute intervals unless you end the task in the task manager. It's not necessarily malware, just an annoying program that was used to scare people back in the early days of the internet. Sonic Gather Battle. Sonic Gather Battle is a Sonic fan game released in 2014. The game was generally well received by fans, but by late 2017, it was discovered that the game was exhibiting some malware-like behavior. If you search the word hack or similar keywords while the game is running, it attempts to kill your browser. If it thinks you're trying to tamper with the game, it will remotely blacklist your system. It also stores a hash of your system information on a remote server, creates a DLL file, loads it, and deletes it. That's pretty much all there is to say about this entry. This game is just essentially malware, and despite it seeming pretty well made from the gameplay, I definitely don't recommend downloading it. PUBG. Now, I know you're probably confused. PUBG is a game, right? Well, you are right, but also wrong. See, in this instance, PUBG is referring to another ransomware program similar to Rensenware, which we covered earlier. Basically, the PUBG virus is a program that encrypts all of the data on your computer, along with overriding file extensions to the .pubg extension. So how do you get rid of this virus and recover your files? Well, it's pretty simple. It actually tells you once you open the program. Your files is encrypted by PUBG ransomware, but don't worry, it is not hard to unlock it. I don't want money, just play PUBG 1 hour. It's not really harmful either, as right under that text, it literally gives you a code to restore your files. Or, if you're up to it, the program is constantly checking if you have PUBG open, which it will detect and unlock your files once you have played for 1 hour. In all reality, PUBG ransomware isn't really a real virus, it's more so a joke played on unsuspecting people who pirate the game from sketchy websites. Desktop Puzzle. Desktop Puzzle is a Trojan that infected systems running Windows 95 in the 2000s. The original file name for the Trojan is slidescr.exe. When it's run, it blocks Task Manager and opens a message box that reads, "Oops, looks like somebody doesn't like you very much. You have to finish this sliding tile puzzle before you can continue whatever it is you're doing. Use the cursor keys to move the pieces. Black piece is the empty one." After OK is clicked, the Trojan splits the user's desktop into several sections, mixes them, and waits for the user to restore the original desktop by solving the puzzle. It also swaps how the arrow keys work. Up becomes down, left becomes right, and the puzzle is pretty difficult to solve. There's no way to continue working with other Windows applications until you solve the puzzle. Once the puzzle is successfully finished, another message box would open, reading, "Congratulations, you made it. You can now continue whatever it is you were doing," along with crediting the creator of the virus. RedShell. RedShell is a companion program that allows game developers to track how successful their advertisement campaigns are. It's essentially just software integrated into games to determine when players buy and play games through advertising. Around 2018, RedShell came under fire when it was labeled as spyware because it's literally code bundled with games that detects and tracks data while you play the game without you knowing. Some of the games that originally used RedShell and later removed it include Elder Scrolls Online, Dead by Daylight, Quake Champions, every Total War game, and countless others. Users complained that the way RedShell unknowingly harvested and collected information about players wasn't in compliance with the General Data Protection Regulation. And most people generally understand that RedShell's practices are incredibly shady and constitute the program being spyware. Melting Screen. Melting Screen is an email worm virus that began circulating in the early 2000s. The worm began spreading through Outlook email messages with the subject title of Fantastic Screensaver. Inside the email is the meltingscreen.exe attachment and a message reading, "Hello, my friend. Attached is my newest and funniest screensaver. I named it Melting Screen. Test it and tell me what you think. Have a nice day, my friend. P.S. Please install the runtime library for VB 5.0 before you run the screensaver." Once you execute the exe file, your computer slowly begins destroying itself, replacing every exe file with the bin extension instead. and opening your Microsoft contact list and sending the virus to every single one of your contacts. Eventually, after it's done its job of sending itself to all your friends and family, your screen begins melting until your computer inevitably freezes and you have to reboot. How do you avoid this virus? Well, don't click weird emails from your friends that contain an exe file. Or if you remembered the footnote at the end of the message telling you to install a Visual Basic Runtime library, you probably won't be surprised to learn that the program doesn't even work if you don't have that specific library installed. Melting-screen.exe is pretty harmless compared to other malware, but it's still an annoying piece of software that circulated email lists in the early days of the web. Kama Sutra. The Kama Sutra is an ancient Hindu Sanskrit text that covers sexuality, love, and emotional fulfillment. What does this have to do with computer viruses? Well, in 2006, a worm virus began spreading via email. The virus was called Kama Sutra, and it hid itself within emails, promising the recipient, quote, "schoolgirl fantasies gone bad, hot movies, crazy illegal sex, and Kama Sutra pics." When users clicked the attachment in the email, their computer's antivirus would be disabled, and the Kama Sutra virus would begin overwriting most of your computer's data, making it unreadable and completely unrecoverable. So yeah, that's it. Don't click emails promising Kama Sutra pics. Tim Allen's Sexy Strip Poker. Tim Allen's Sexy Strip Poker is a joke program created by Loyrock, the same creator as the MEMZ virus and Bonzify. The virus is a modified version of Bonzify that when launched will change the PNG and JPEG files into images of Tim Taylor and are named referencing Tim Allen's signature grunting sound in Home Improvement. When the computer is rebooted, the system will stay on a black screen for a few seconds until a picture of Tim is flashed, accompanied by a loud scream and a black screen of death. Glory Hole Foundation. The Glory Hole Foundation was a shock site that disguised itself as a non-profit golf and country club. The website had a white background showing the logo above a green Enter Website button. Once the button was clicked, the site displayed a GIF of two naked men having accompanied by a loud audio of a man moaning. There was a malicious script that opened a pop-up window that duplicated itself and bounced around the screen, showing the same GIF as the main page. And that's pretty much it. 000.exe. 000.exe is a fake virus created by Flytech Videos. The video Flytech uploaded presents itself as a creepypasta. In the video 000.exe computer virus, Flytech begins the video with text on screen stating that they encountered a strange website which offered them an exe file, which they loaded in a virtual machine. Upon running the exe, a long black and white road is shown, which flashes different colors until the PC restarts itself. Once the computer is restarted, your username is set to "You're next," and the desktop is filled with red text that reads, "Run away." Dialog boxes begin popping up, saying the same thing, and of course, within the text files themselves, it just says, "Run away." Strangely, there is one file different from the others on the desktop. Its title is "OpenMe," spelled without spaces 15 times. Inside the document, it reads, "You are the next. I can see you. Now it's too late. I got you. You have been warned. Don't look behind you." The video quickly ends after Flytech reads this document, but for one frame at the very end of the video, it zooms in on the text, "Don't look behind you," and displays text that says, "I mean it." Pro-Alife. Pro-Alife is a DOS virus that will infect your antivirus software on your computer and overwrite it to display a message. Pro-Alife isn't really harmful, it mostly just messes up your exe files and antivirus software. The cool part of this virus isn't what it does, but what it says to you. Upon opening your antivirus to kill the program, it will display a bright red screen with numbers written in pixelated blood, and above those numbers it says, 1 billion viruses died today, and yesterday, and more will die tomorrow. Stop the killing. Operation Rescue 2. Saving the baby viruses. Look what you're doing to them. Below is an aborted virus. Support pro-life activism. If you hit enter, the red screen fades away and you're met with console text that says, "Thank you for choosing life over destruction. Have a nice day." Now, if you go and try to boot your antivirus, the Trojan horse will always replace it, booting into the red screen. The only way to get rid of this virus is by completely replacing your antivirus while the Trojan isn't installed in memory. This means you probably need to entirely reset your BIOS to use your antivirus software again. Suicide. The suicide virus is yet another DOS virus that infects the files in the directory it was installed in. Once you execute the programs that the suicide virus infected a few times, it will show a pop-up of a hanging gray man telling you that your computer is now infected and he will kill himself. Press D to disinfect your computer. Once you press D, it will actually disinfect your files. At least it seems like it. If you actually go and check the file size of your programs that were infected and compare them to before the suicide virus infected them, you'll see that it did nothing, meaning you'll still be met with the gray hanging man after launching your programs a few more times. The virus itself isn't very malicious, just annoying, as it infects all your programs, increasing the file size and scaring the hell out of you with the hangman every once in a while. Winfig. Winfig is a virus written for Windows 9X operating systems. The virus attaches itself to the Windows directory on your drive and creates a config file that will boot the virus when you start your computer. Weirdly enough, the virus only actually works if your system's date is October 1st or any other day after that. Once you boot your computer, your wallpaper is changed to these aliens and a black dialog box begins spitting text. The text is all in Spanish, so I'll give a rough translation. Virus Melissa. When you infected me, I fell in love. Since then, I've been preparing myself to one day find you. For months I've been reproducing myself through the internet and floppy disks, but now it's over. I'm not going to run after you anymore. And if I can't have you, no one else will. I love you, Melissa. Virus Carlos. After the text is done scrolling, another dialog box appears telling you that your computer has been infected by the Carlos virus and you need to reboot your machine. If you were to reboot your machine now, your computer wouldn't work as it deletes the win.com file, letting you boot into Windows. However, if you're on a later version of Windows, like Windows Millennium Edition, your system will boot just fine. Going over to your Windows System folder, you'll find 315 file folders named Melissa and Carlos. The folders don't contain anything, and you can just delete the folders. So it's not too harmful, but if you are running an earlier Windows version that requires Win.com to boot properly, you're out of luck if you rebooted when it told you to. Mantas. Mantas is a worm virus that was spread through peer-to-peer services like LimeWire and Kazaa. Upon running Mantas.exe, your computer will begin dumping random files into your shared folder that you got the virus from. It will also dump those same files into every local directory on your computer. Not only that, the virus begins corrupting every image, text, and Word document on your computer, corrupting the text inside and replacing it with, "Aw, that was really sweet. Thank you, Mantas." The most destructive part of this virus is what it does to your programs and images. First off, it replaces every image on your computer with the classic Uncle Sam I want you for the US Army picture, but this time, he doesn't want you to join the army, he simply wants you. Secondly, the virus will overwrite every single exe file on your computer, replacing them with itself, rendering your computer virtually useless as well as preventing you from rebooting your computer properly. If you do manually reset your computer, you won't be able to locate your operating system files as they were corrupted by the virus, which means you have lost everything and now you have to reinstall your operating system. Sourmath. Sourmath is a shock site that was registered in 2007. The main page of the site shows a flash video of 3 elderly men having relations in a bathtub, while the theme of the Andy Griffith Show plays in the background. The website contains a script that causes your browser tab to bounce around your desktop, making it incredibly difficult to close the tab like you normally would be able to. And that's pretty much it for this entry. Creeper. Creeper is a very bare-bones computer program written in 1971 by Bob Thomas, making it the first ever computer virus. Creeper wasn't actively malicious, and it didn't cause any damage to data on the computer. The only thing it did was show a message reading, "I'm the Creeper, catch me if you can." The first ever antivirus, called Reaper, was created in 1972, and it essentially just deleted Creeper. Beauty. Beauty is a macro virus that was created for Microsoft Word. The virus activates on random days of the month and shows a few pop-ups and dialogue choices. The pop-ups show a handful of pornographic images next to indecipherable garbled text. Changing the date on your system and relaunching the virus gives varying results, like showing the same indecipherable text, but instead of in a dialog box, it shows it directly in Microsoft Word in a bold red font. The intention behind the virus and why it exists is pretty mysterious and confusing, and overall, the whole thing is just really bizarre. Possessed. Possessed is a DOS virus that infects .com and .exe files on the system and increases their file sizes. If the system doesn't have enough space to have the file size increased, Possessed just simply deletes the file, which is the main destructive capability of the virus. Possessed also has a graphical payload, where 3 hours after launching an infected file, it takes control of your system and displays this demon face that just smiles at you while bouncing around the screen. That's basically it for this virus. It only has 2 payloads, one of them which can be pretty destructive as it just deletes your files, but it's a pretty bare-bones DOS virus. Olympic AIDS. Olympic AIDS, or the Olympic virus, is a virus that was written to activate after the 12th of February of any year. The virus infects any COM files on the machine and has a chance of displaying a graphical effect on screen. It shows the Olympic Games' logo and some text, reading, "This time, they have been fucking around with the Olympic computers and managed to infect a lot of your computers with a little tiny destructive virus. Now, Antonio, you can't let them run away with this. Punish the little bastards." And that's pretty much all there is to this one. These older DOS viruses usually just showed some text on screen. Alerta. Alerta is a Trojan written for Windows 95 and 98. When run, it displays a dialog box with text in Portuguese and 2 clickable options, with the text essentially saying that a homosexual was detected using the computer. The dialog choices allow you to choose between an option that says you are a homosexual and another option that just says no with a bunch of exclamation points. If you try to click the option that says you're in fact not a homosexual, it evades your cursor and bounces around the screen. When you're forced to choose the option stating that you're gay, text comes on screen over a pink background that roughly translates to, "I think I'm going to crash your computer for 5 minutes. Meanwhile, you can stare at this screen with these strong colors that must be making your eyes pop," as well as a 5-minute countdown. After the 5-minute timer is up, more text comes on screen, forcing you to type into a text prompt that you're a born homosexual. It then mocks you with a few subsequent text pop-ups, and on restart launches the Trojan again. It then replaces your wallpaper with this image. I'm not really sure what this image is supposed to be. If any of you guys are from Brazil, and I'm missing some kind of reference or something, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. To My Dear Hurr. To My Dear Hurr is a Chinese Trojan written for Android devices by an unknown creator. The app pretends to be a social media app for couples, but when launched, a looping animation of a bleeding woman's face would appear and zoom in and out, as the volume slider on the device would be disabled, and an extremely loud screaming would play on loop. The app attaches itself to the Boot Completed event on Android phones, so whenever the phone finishes the startup process, the application runs. That's pretty much it for this one. It's just a screamer that infects Androids. If I was an unsuspecting internet user and downloaded this app by accident without knowing what it was, I think I would literally have a heart attack. Skism. Skism is a DOS virus that infects files on the affected machine. The virus essentially makes the executable program that it infects inoperable, and it runs its infection routine, infecting other EXEs. It's not necessarily super destructive, but it makes files non-recoverable after infecting them. When the date falls on the 25th of the month, and the 25th is also a Friday, Skism displays a graphical payload showing a person with Skism, and it displays the following text. The man who brought you 622, Skism 1, Captain Trips, and Sub-Zero now shanks you again with his latest Skism 1992 virus. Get a late pass. SpongeBob Screen Toys. SpongeBob Screen Toys is an adware and spyware program created by freeware files. It was shared to download.com and spread across the internet from there. When the virus is installed, it's instantly run on startup and asks the user to download Norton. However, it installs a rogue version of Norton bundled with Trojans. While it's running, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward pop up around the desktop. Squidward avoids the cursor while the others follow it around the screen. While SpongeBob is looking at the cursor, it's essentially setting up the program to spy on you and collect your data. Tentacle. Tentacle is a family of DOS viruses. When a file infected by Tentacle is started, it searches your system for exe files and infects them. It replaces the icon of an infected file with its own icon and makes files unusable. The virus will also show the text string, "Virus alert. This file is infected with win.tentacle." There's 4 other variants of the virus, but the differences between them are marginal and all basically do the same thing, so I'm not going to get into all of them. New Hope. The New Hope virus is a Microsoft Word macro virus. It infects Microsoft Word documents by embedding itself in the normal template and then spreading to any new documents that are created or opened. It replaces periods with an explosion of indecipherable text and puts a bunch of nonsense into infected text documents. It's not super destructive, but if you were to send an essay written in Word to your college professor, for example, when they open it, it would also infect their computer and basically just make Word impossible to use. Pretty annoying. Strimage.exe. Strimage.exe is an incredibly obscure computer virus that was created in China in 2005. When you attempt to run it, a window briefly opens and closes, and the original file is deleted. It then replicates itself across some system directories like System32 and assigns itself as a JPEG file viewer. Another payload makes it so that every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a purple-tinted image of a ghost with half of her face torn off appears on the screen, and her right eye starts moving around. A crying sound effect is also played during the jump scare. If I unknowingly installed this virus all the way back in 2005, and this jump scare popped up while I was playing solitaire or something, I think I would actually lose my mind. Espacio. Espacio is a DOS virus that infects COM and exe files. The virus is basically a fully fledged Pac-Man clone that forces you to play the game. That's literally all it is. NoPlay. NoPlay is a worm written for Windows 2000 and a few Windows NT-based operating systems that attempts to infect your entire network. NoPlay is pretty harmless, but can be kind of frightening if you're not expecting it. When it's run, it follows the cursor and puts these really trippy geometric lines and shapes on your screen, with Spanish text telling you it's time to format your disk. It makes your computer completely unusable until you delete the file. Despite being really annoying, it's a pretty cool graphical effect. Sevgi. Sevgi is a Trojan that when run, opens a window that says, "Hey you, take your hands off the mouse, you little boy. Who am I talking to? I will crush your head if you don't," in Turkish. The virus takes control of your mouse and makes the normal functionality of your computer inoperable. It pins itself to startup, so removal of the virus is pretty difficult. If you were an inexperienced user in the 90s, this virus basically ruined your entire computer and made every normal function of your computer impossible. Croton. Croton is another ransomware Trojan that disables numerous features on your computer, virtually holding your PC hostage until you are able to remove the virus from every square inch of your computer. Instead of encrypting programs on your computer, this virus actually disables them, giving you a pop-up telling you that the program is disabled by the administrator. Trying to edit your registry keys is also disabled, so your only option is to restart. But once you restart, it gets even worse. Basically, every application is removed from your start menu, and your antivirus is now uninstalled. The last thing the virus does is change your Internet Explorer homepage, immediately directing you to a shock image upon launching the app. Since Croton removes all administrator privileges from your user and deletes most essential programs, you can't really do anything once it's gotten a hold of your computer. The only method is to find a way to externally format your drive and reinstall your operating system. NIMP.org. NIMP.org is a website that is pretty unknown on the modern internet, and I'm like 99% sure this website is still malicious, so please don't visit it. Anyways, in the early 2000s, this website was usually used to troll people in online games like StarCraft, World of Warcraft, and other multiplayer games where you can send people website links. I couldn't find much information online, so here's what I was able to infer with some old forum posts. Apparently the website has a ton of excessive pop-ups, browser exploits that can install malware on your system, and most notably showed numerous shock images and videos. User Ultinum posted on the Bungie forums on October 31st, 2009, simply stating, "I've been on it too. Big mistake clicking it. It's just a virus and men, if you know what I'm getting at." So yeah, that's really it. Not really a standalone virus, but it was a super malicious website that installed malware on your computer and was mostly used to troll the enemy team in 2000s PC games. Walker. The Walker virus is a DOS virus that, when run, displays an 8-bit image of a woman spreading her legs, captioned "Sarah's Groove." After a few seconds, the image goes away, and now, an 8-bit old man will walk across your screen every 30 seconds or so until you restart your computer. If you're trying to write a text document or playing a DOS game, every time the man walks across your screen, all of your inputs will freeze, which most of the time will result in your computer being indefinitely frozen. Apparently, the 8-bit old man is actually just a sprite pulled from the PC DOS versions of an NES game titled Bad Street Brawler. Here's some gameplay where you can see him getting absolutely floored by Hulk Hogan. NakedWife.exe. NakedWife.exe is an email worm virus from the late 90s. The virus typically disguised itself as an email from a friend whose computer had been infected. You'd receive an email with the subject, "Naked Wife," with the email reading, "My wife never looked like that," wink emoji. "Best regards, your friend." Within the email, it contained the NakedWife.exe attachment. You probably know by now that most users had file extensions hidden, so they weren't able to see that the attachment was actually an exe file. Upon opening the file, you're met with a flash animation that is perpetually loading. When you try using the Help tab to see more info about the file, you're met with a dialog box that says, "You are now fucked. Copyright 2001 by BGK, Bill Gates Killer." The virus also attaches itself to your Microsoft Outlook's contact list and sends the exact same email you received to all your friends and family. That's already bad enough, but it gets even worse. NakedWife.exe then proceeds to delete basically all of the files from your Windows system directory. So when you go to reboot your computer, your Windows installation will be completely corrupted and you won't be able to boot into the operating system. Alcohol. We're finally here, the last entry on this iceberg. So what's the grandiose forgotten internet virus awaiting us? It's literally just a picture of this drunk guy that emails itself to your contact list. "I'm in your computer," the drunken man says, and if you take a look at your outgoing emails, you'll see that you just sent your grandma an email titled 101 Reasons Why You Should Have Sex When You're Drunk, with the alcohol worm attached. And that's it. And here we are, the end of the bizarre computer virus Iceberg. This video is a bit of a departure from our normal creepy content about weird stuff from across the internet and horror stories, so I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, we have a growing playlist of long Iceberg explained videos, so go check those out if you haven't already. As I mentioned in the intro, if you guys want to talk to us or other viewers about our videos, our Discord server is linked in the description. It's really cool to see how our community has grown, and I've been having a great time chatting with you guys. I also want to give a shout out to Late Night Zeno, who made the music you're listening to right now, as well as all the background music you've been hearing throughout the video. If you liked what you heard, definitely go check out his music on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, wherever you get your music. But that's all from me for today. Have a great rest of your night or day, whatever time it is for you. Once again, thank you, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. See ya.